a Basketball Friday here on Get Up. Basketball Friday. I'm Matt Berry in for Greeny, substitute teacher behavior. Great night for the NCAA tournament. Monica McNutt.
No, that's not my name. You're the sub.
She barely made it. Joe Fortenbaugh has no clue what's in the rundown. And also joining us, Sean Farnham. He was a red-eye Jedi until about 2 a.m. and Amon Shumpert. He is ready to rock as we begin with the upset of the night. The 11th-seeded VCU taking on 6th-seeded North Carolina. For most of this game, Sean Farnham, it was UNC in a rout.
Flown for North Carolina in the first half of this game, and it looked like it was going to be an easy win for them. Up 19 at one point in time, but as you start to look at these highlights right now, you're going, why are we seeing so much of VCU? Because, Matt, this game was not done.
Close the gap to 2. Hill Jr., watch this take underneath. Game is headed to overtime. 20 seconds remaining. VCU trails 78-77. Hill Jr. again. Oh, that is money. 19-point comeback. Hill Jr. 34 points. They come back from 19. With 7:11 left in the second half, this thing looked as if it was done, but that's when it all fell apart. UNC scored 8 points over the final 12 minutes of the game, while VCU scored 26. Because of it, Tar Heels out. Hubert Davis, what say you?
Did you sense that your team got a little bit tired there? I did not. I didn't.
Did you go to just a 6-man rotation in the second half?
Because that was my decision.
All right, Sean, when you hear Hubert Davis in that post-game press conference, they were up a lot, 19 points. VCU comes back in the second half. How much of this is on Hubert Davis?
Well, I think, look, every win is always going to be on the players. Every loss is going to be on the coaches, right? That's how we view sports. I think when you look at this season in its totality for North Carolina, one of the problems that we've seen throughout the course of the season has been at the defensive end of the floor and their inability to get stops. And they allowed 47 points in the second half of that game last night. And they got beat off the bounce. And that was a problem throughout the course of the season for this North Carolina team. But I think the broader picture of this, and you'll see it here in a second, is the connectivity out on the court defensively. Where's the help side? You're hugging people on the weak side that aren't even in the play. They're over 2 passes away, and you're allowing that layup that tied the game. And eventually you go on to lose that contest. If Caleb Wilson is healthy, they're not a 6th seed. But the reality of it is Caleb Wilson was not healthy. They were a 6th seed, and they just lost in the first round and some bad execution down the stretch. They couldn't even get the ball, and they got a 5-second violation late in the game.
And it was a game, again, that they were controlling Joe Fortenbaugh, a game that they probably should have just slid right through onto the round of 32. Do you believe that Hubert Davis has coached his last game at UNC?
We're very close to that. Very close to that. It's one thing if you're a 10-point dog, you lose your star player, you go into the tournament, you lose a closely contested game. We can all move on from that. It's another thing when you're a small favorite in the game, you have a 19-point lead, and then late, as the collapse is starting to get away from you, the coach is unable to step in to mitigate the damage. How about on the missed free throw? Not understanding that it has to hit the rim in order for it to count. That's something that the coach should be going over with the players. Going into overtime, a chance to rebound from all the damage that had been caused, a chance to settle everyone down. Didn't work. My question, if I'm in Chapel Hill, would be, are we trending in the right direction under Hubert Davis, or are we trending in the wrong direction?
Right.
First year on the job, went to the NCAA finals. That was with a lot of Roy Williams players, right? What has happened since? The team has slowly but surely moved away from that target, with each of the last 2 years resulting in losses in the opening round of the tournament. They're moving in the wrong direction, so they have to have some very serious conversations about what the future of the program is going to look like.
By the way, Roy Williams only didn't get out of the round of 64 once. He's done it back-to-back years in Hubert Davis. That's something to keep an eye on. So UNC, they're out. Duke, or they had to sweat yesterday against Siena. The great escape with one of the young teams in the country. They are talented. Early on, Siena, they were working. Justice Schultz drives, layup inside. Later, same score. This was the turning point of the game. Riley Mulvey gets the ball. Perfect execution until it wasn't. They get another opportunity. And then in transition, Isaiah Evans finishes it off. 16 minutes left in the game. Duke down 9. Boozer kicks it out to Hamania. Drains the 3. Duke cuts the lead to 6. Later in the second half, Boozer. I mean, the Stars stepped up when they needed them to. Duke trailing by 2. And then here, the game tied at 61, and John Shire and Duke, hey, they survive in advance. That's all that counts. 71-65. Here was Duke following the escape.
GMAC had his guys way more ready to play than I did. He outcoached me. He outcoached us. And that's one of the hardest moments for me in sport, period. You know, to not have your best stuff.
You know, I think we really didn't come out ready to play today, and we got to be a lot better moving forward. But coach says all the time, whether we win by 1 or 25, it doesn't matter. So just on to the next.
That's kind of the point there, Sean. We just said, like, survive in advance, get the win, and move on. Was yesterday's game for Duke that close call, or was it a bad sign? Which one was it?
It's both, but I do think it's a little bit of a bad sign. I think that's why when we looked at this bracket when it came out, we said that this path right now in the East is the most difficult region in this NCAA tournament. And I've been on this call of TCU being a potentially stumble block. I have Duke winning the game in my own personal bracket, but TCU is a team that had knocked off Florida, knocked off Wisconsin, won at Texas Tech, was a shot away from beating Michigan. And the defensive signal that we saw in the first half was they could not stop Siena off the bounce. Siena got everything it wanted inside the paint in the first half of that game. And then John Shire went to the 2-3 zone, made the adjustment, and then off of that zone, they forced him to take a lot more three-point looks in the second half, and Siena was just worn out. I mean, Siena played 5 guys essentially for the entire game. They subbed 1 guy in for about 2.5 seconds, and that was about it. It was unbelievable to go with just 5 guys and say, our 5 guys we think can beat yours. And for the most part, Jerry McNamara was right.
Yeah, and look, we've been talking about this throughout the day with freshman-laden teams, freshman star teams. Talent isn't an issue when it comes to freshmen, but maybe an all-freshman star team is tough to trust in this type of situation. Are there trust issues with a young Duke team who candidly, Farnham, things during the regular season came pretty easily to them?
Yeah, they did come really easy, and that was when this team was healthy. Health is more of a concern than anything else. Caleb Foster was a 40% three-point shooter. They shot 19% from beyond the arc yesterday. Caden Boozer has been outstanding in the last 3 games, 16, 16, and 19, but he is not a three-point shooter, and so it allows teams to shrink the floor, try to clog that paint a little bit, and without Patrick Ngungba down low underneath, now it forces Cam Boozer to go to that 5 spot, and that makes things even that much more difficult.
Joe, where are you on Duke and the trust factor with them now going forward?
I think long-term, you've got to be concerned, especially where they are in the region with so many good coaches and so many good teams, right? UConn's in the region, Michigan State, Kansas, St. John's, to name a few. The good news for Duke, they don't have to beat all those teams. A lot of them will take care of each other, and you have an opportunity to bounce back off this game you just played and find a way to show some resilience. I think the one thing you want to look at, if you were going to be making a wager, not that I've been known to do such a thing, but I've been known to, advocate on occasion. Duke in the first half. And you could also make bets. They're not posted right now. First team to 10 points in the Duke-TCU matchup. First team to 20 points in the Duke-TCU matchup. I think if there's any talking point for the Blue Devils coming off that game, start fast. And I think you're going to get that against TCU.
And it is possible, too. We do a wake-up call here on maybe that was the wake-up call for this young team that says, you know what, you're not going to go into a bracket where everyone wants to advance and just waltz by everyone. We'll find out soon enough as they have TCU coming up next. Farnham, you're with us throughout the day